Have you ever wondered what truly happens in her mind when you stop texting her? Not the surface-level guesswork, not the Hollywood version, but the raw, unfiltered reality of how her thoughts twist, turn, and spiral when silence enters the space between you. This is not just about relationships. It's about human psychology, about desire, attachment, and the deep truths that Stoic philosophy has been revealing for centuries. If you stop texting her, what does she really feel? What does she really think? Today, we begin this deep journey. Welcome to this channel, where we bring timeless wisdom from the Stoics into the everyday battles of modern life. If you've ever struggled with relationships, if you've ever found yourself asking, what does she think of me? Or why does silence feel so powerful? Then this series is for you. I invite you now, before we dive deeper, to subscribe to this channel, because the lessons we're about to explore will change the way you see relationships forever. And don't just subscribe, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think happens in her mind when you go silent. Your perspective matters, and your reflection may inspire someone else. Now, let's step into the heart of part 1. The daily thoughts she experiences when you stop texting. 1. The first day of silence. Confusion and curiosity. On the first day you stop texting her, she does not yet feel abandoned. Instead, she feels something sharper. Confusion mixed with curiosity. She wonders, did he forget? Is he busy? Did I say something wrong? The silence is not yet heavy. It is puzzling. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. On this first day, she begins to estimate your silence. And here lies the secret. She will assign meaning to the gap you create. Think of the last time someone you cared about went silent on you. Did you immediately assume the worst, or did you create a story in your mind to explain it? Notice how the human mind rushes to fill empty spaces with assumptions. Now apply this to her. Your silence is not just absence. To her, it is a mirror where her fears, doubts, and hopes are projected. 2. Day 2. Anxiety and the battle of ego. By the second day, silence begins to itch. She picks up her phone more often. She replays the last conversation in her mind, searching for hidden meanings. Was there tension in your last words? Did you laugh less than usual? Here is where her ego joins the battle. Seneca wisely said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. She now begins to suffer, not because of what you did, but because of the imagination of why you did it. Imagine her lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, phone on the nightstand. She wonders, is he losing interest? Is he testing me? Or, is he with someone else? These thoughts are not rational. They are the storms of attachment. Pause here and consider. When you create silence, you also create a stage for her imagination. If you are grounded like a Stoic, you understand that you cannot control what she imagines. You can only control the intention behind your silence. Is it to test her, to reclaim your power, or simply to focus on yourself? 3. Day 3. The rise of self-doubt. By day 3, her confidence begins to tremble. What felt like confusion now feels like rejection. She starts questioning herself. Am I not good enough? Did I bore him? Was my last text too much? Epictetus teaches, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Yet in her case, the reaction begins to spiral inward. She measures her worth against your silence, as though your absence is proof of her inadequacy. This is a dangerous turning point. Her emotions are no longer about you alone. They are about herself. Think deeply. Silence is powerful not because it is empty, but because it forces others to confront themselves. What you withhold becomes a canvas on which she paints her insecurities. Take a moment to write down or mentally note. When you withdraw communication, what intention drives you? Is it born from wisdom, or is it born from manipulation? A Stoic man does not manipulate. He chooses silence as a tool for self-control, not a weapon to harm. 4. The Stoic mirror of detachment. At this point, we must step back and look at the larger picture. The Stoics remind us constantly of detachment. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Her daily thoughts, her emotional storm, her longing, these are outside events. They belong to her, not to you. Your task is not to control her reaction, but to master your own response to her reaction. When you stop texting, you may feel tempted to check her social media, to see if she notices, to confirm whether she posts something cryptic. But is this not you falling into the same trap? You suffer in imagination as much as she does. The Stoic path is to step back and remain grounded, unmoved by the chaos of assumptions. Right now, close your eyes and breathe deeply. Repeat silently. Her reaction is not mine to own. My peace comes from within. This is the essence of Stoic detachment in relationships. 5. The philosophy of absence. Seneca once noted, "He who is brave is free." In this context, bravery is not about silence alone, but about the freedom to detach from constant validation. When you stop texting her, she feels the weight of absence. But for you, absence can be a form of presence, a way to center yourself, to remind yourself that your value is not tied to constant communication. Think about this truth. Absence sharpens love, but it also reveals dependency. If her thoughts spiral negatively in your silence, it shows that her sense of self is shaken by your presence, or lack thereof. Ask yourself, do you want a relationship built on constant reassurance, or one built on strength, respect, and mutual detachment? True Stoic love is not about clinging. It is about standing side by side, both strong, both free. This is just the beginning. In these first days of silence, she experiences confusion, curiosity, ego battles, and self-doubt. But this is only the surface. In part 2, we will explore what happens when the silence deepens, when days turn into weeks, and when she begins to wrestle not only with her emotions but with her identity. If this first part has opened your mind, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, and let me know. Do you believe silence is a weapon, or do you see it as a path to wisdom? Stay grounded, stay strong, and remember, a Stoic does not chase validation, he becomes the source of it. Silence is no longer just a pause after a few days. When weeks pass without your words, silence becomes an echo. It grows heavier, sharper, more haunting. She wakes with it. She goes to sleep with it. It follows her everywhere, like a shadow that refuses to leave. Have you ever wondered what happens inside her when your absence stretches longer, when silence itself becomes louder than any words you could ever send? Today, we continue uncovering the hidden layers of what she truly feels and thinks when you stop texting. Welcome back, my friend. This is part 2 of our deep exploration into how silence transforms a woman's mind when you stop texting her. If you haven't yet watched part 1, I highly recommend starting there. It lays the foundation for what we're about to build upon here. And before we go deeper, let me remind you, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. The wisdom you'll discover here isn't just about relationships. It's about mastering yourself through the timeless teachings of the Stoics. And after you've finished listening, share your reflections in the comments. What do you believe is the purpose of silence in love and connection? Now let us journey further. 1. The first week. The mind's endless theater. When the first week passes, confusion is replaced by narrative. She no longer wonders if you're silent. She now begins to create stories about why. These stories are not always grounded in truth. They are the dramas the mind writes to protect itself. Epictetus reminds us, when someone is properly grounded in life, they shouldn't have to look outside themselves for approval. But few live by this rule. Most look outward, especially in love. In your absence, she may script multiple plays in her mind. In one version, you're testing her loyalty. In another, you're losing interest. In a darker version, you've found someone else. Understand this. Her mind, like yours, fears uncertainty. It is not silence itself that torments her, but the uncertainty it creates. When people lack answers, they create them. Pause here. Reflect on a time you were left in silence by someone you cared for. What story did you invent in your head? Were those stories true, or were they projections of your own fears? Recognize the same cycle now unfolding in her. 2. The second week. The emotional pendulum. By the second week, her emotions swing like a pendulum. Some days she feels angry, telling herself she doesn't need you, convincing herself she is strong without you. Other days, the pendulum swings back, and she misses you so deeply she aches. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." At this stage, her thoughts color her entire being. Anger dyes her pride. Longing dyes her sadness. Doubt dyes her confidence. And still, silence fuels every shade. Picture her scrolling through your old conversations, reliving the laughter, the late-night talks, the inside jokes. She compares those memories to the emptiness of now, and the contrast intensifies her longing. This is why silence has such power. It forces comparison between what was and what is. Ask yourself, do you use silence intentionally, or do you simply drift into it? The Stoic way demands intention. If silence is chosen to cultivate your inner strength, it can be virtuous. But if it is born from laziness or fear, it becomes cowardice disguised as wisdom. 3. The identity crisis. As silence continues, something deeper begins to unravel. Her sense of self. She starts to ask not only what happened between us, but also what does this say about me? Seneca teaches, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Silence becomes the friction that forces her to confront herself. For some women, it may polish resilience. For others, it may crack the surface and reveal insecurity. Think about this. When your absence forces her to doubt her worth, is that her weakness, or is it her chance to grow? Remember, the Stoics believed adversity was a teacher, not a curse. Your silence becomes her test. Take a moment to reflect on your own growth. Has someone's absence ever forced you to become stronger, more self-reliant? Write it down or meditate on it. This will help you see your silence not as cruelty, but as a space where both of you can grow separately. 4. The Stoic understanding of longing. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Longing is an outside event, an emotion that floods her when she imagines life without you. By the 3rd or 4th week, longing becomes her daily companion. She may even resist reaching out, not because she doesn't want to, but because her pride prevents it. Silence creates a war within her, heart against ego. Notice how powerful this is. Without sending a single text, you have created a battlefield inside her. Yet Stoicism reminds us, true power is not in controlling others but in controlling ourselves. Do not fall into arrogance. Do not let her longing inflate your ego. Instead, recognize that your silence is also shaping you. Repeat to yourself, her longing is her journey. My task is to master my own mind. Breathe this truth in. Hold it. Let it ground you. 5. The awakening of independence. Here lies the paradox. The longer you remain silent, the more she may begin to awaken her independence. At first, she doubts herself. Then she swings between anger and longing. But eventually, she may begin to reclaim her strength. Epictetus warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Your silence becomes her training ground for freedom. If she rises above her doubts, she learns not to depend on your messages for her happiness. Do you see the beauty of this? What began as silence that caused confusion may end as silence that awakens strength. Just as you are practicing Stoic detachment, she too may, unknowingly, begin her own journey of detachment. Ask yourself, can you respect her if she grows stronger in your silence? Can you admire her for becoming less dependent on you? A Stoic man does not seek a weak partner. He seeks one who can stand beside him with strength. In this second stage of silence, we've seen how days turn into weeks and how her mind transforms confusion into narratives, anger into longing, and longing into a battle for independence. Silence is no longer a pause. It has become a teacher, shaping both her and you. But the journey does not end here. In part 3, we will explore what happens when silence stretches even further, when she no longer waits, when detachment begins to replace desire, and when both of you must face the question, what remains when communication dies? If this resonated with you, take a moment now to subscribe, share this video, and write your reflections in the comments. Does silence strengthen love, or does it destroy it? Your voice matters. Stay strong, stay centered, and remember, a Stoic man does not fear silence. He embraces it as a path to wisdom. There comes a point when silence no longer stings. It settles. At first, she panicked. Then she wondered. Then she longed. But now something shifts. Your silence does not just echo in her mind anymore. It starts to reshape the way she sees you, the way she sees herself, and even the way she sees love. Have you ever wondered what she feels when the waiting is over, when the hope of your message begins to fade into detachment? That's what we will uncover today. Welcome back, my friend. This is part 3 of our journey into the psychology of silence and the Stoic wisdom behind it. If you've been following along, you've seen how silence first sparks confusion, then longing, then identity battles. But today, we enter a deeper phase, one where silence becomes transformation. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe if you haven't already. These reflections go beyond relationships. They are about mastering yourself in every aspect of life. And after listening, share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe silence is an act of power, or is it simply a mirror of what already exists within us? Now, let's dive in. 1. The shift from longing to reflection. By the time weeks of silence have stretched into something longer, longing begins to tire her out. The human heart can only ache for so long before it starts seeking relief. And so, instead of waiting desperately for your message, she begins to reflect. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." At this point, her thoughts shift in quality. Instead of focusing entirely on you, she begins to ask herself bigger questions. Why am I waiting? What does this say about my needs? Why do I give so much weight to his silence? Notice the transition here. Silence, once painful, is now becoming a catalyst for self-awareness. She begins to see the truth, that her emotions are her own responsibility, not yours. Pause and reflect on this. When someone goes silent on you, do you remain stuck in longing, or do you eventually shift into reflection? Write down one moment in your life where pain forced you into growth. Let her transformation remind you of your own. 2. The ego's last battle. Though she is moving toward acceptance, her ego still resists. The ego whispers, "He should have texted. I deserve his attention. I deserve closure." Ego clings to fairness, even when life is not fair. Epictetus taught, "It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them." Her ego judges your silence as disrespect, as rejection, as abandonment. This judgment stirs anger, even as her heart tries to detach. This is the storm before the calm. Her mind is split. Half of her wants to release you, while the other half wants to punish you for letting her go. In this stage, she may speak poorly of you to her friends, not because she hates you, but because the ego craves validation through resentment. Ask yourself honestly, do you judge her silence, too, when roles are reversed? Are you any different when someone detaches from you? This is the mirror of Stoicism, recognizing that the ego fights in all of us, not just in her. 3. The birth of detachment. Eventually, the storm quiets. Anger exhausts itself. Longing fades. Reflection deepens. And then comes detachment. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." In detachment, she finally finds freedom. No longer waiting for your text, no longer replaying old conversations, no longer writing stories in her head, she starts to live again. Here is the paradox. Your silence, which once bound her to you through obsession, now sets her free. In detachment, she rediscovers her own worth, her own time, her own priorities. Think deeply. Is this not the essence of Stoic wisdom? To detach from the external, to anchor oneself inward? By accident or design, your silence may have guided her to the very path of strength you yourself are walking. Meditate on this truth. To detach is not to stop caring, it is to stop clinging. Repeat silently, "I do not cling, I stand." Let these words sink into your spirit. 4. The Stoic perspective on letting go. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." But what happens when fate unbinds? What happens when silence separates? She begins to see letting go not as defeat, but as alignment. Your silence is no longer a punishment to her. It becomes a teacher. It shows her who truly stands with her and who drifts away. At this stage, she may even thank you in her mind, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. Because in letting her struggle, you allowed her to grow. In losing your words, she found her own. Close your eyes. Imagine someone from your past who let you go, whether by choice or by silence. Do you resent them still, or do you see the gift they unknowingly gave you? The gift of independence, of clarity, of strength? This is the Stoic exercise of reframing. 5. The new balance. Silence, once unbearable, becomes normal. And in this balance, she no longer waits for you. She lives. She laughs. She may even love again. This does not mean she has forgotten you. Instead, it means she has placed you where you belong, in her past. The energy she once poured into wondering about your texts is now invested in herself. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." By disregarding your silence, she wins her freedom. Here is where Stoic philosophy and human emotion meet. Your silence is outside her control, so she learns to disregard it. This is not weakness, it is wisdom. Right now, breathe deeply. Tell yourself, what is beyond my control, I release. What is within my control, I master. This is the highest form of strength in love and in life. In this third stage, silence transforms from longing into reflection, from ego into detachment, from pain into freedom. What began as confusion has now become clarity. And this is where true Stoic wisdom reveals itself. Silence is not only about what she feels, it is about what you both learn. But there is one more chapter left. In part 4, we will uncover the ultimate truth. What remains when all attachment has faded, and how silence can either destroy a bond forever, or create a deeper respect that transcends words. If this message has given you clarity, take a moment now to subscribe, share your reflections in the comments, and let me know. Do you believe detachment is the end of love, or the beginning of something higher? Stay disciplined, stay grounded, and remember, silence is not emptiness, it is the space where wisdom grows. Silence is powerful. At first, it is confusing, then it is painful, then it is liberating. But when it lasts long enough, silence transforms everything. It closes chapters, reshapes identities, and teaches lessons words could never capture. Have you ever wondered what remains after all the emotions fade? After she has detached, after she no longer waits? This is the final stage, the place where silence reveals its ultimate truth. Welcome to the final part of our 4-part journey. We began with confusion, we traveled through longing, we watched her battle with ego, and we witnessed her detachment. Now, in part 4, we uncover the last transformation. What she feels, thinks, and becomes when silence has finished its work. Before we begin, if you have walked with me through this entire series, take a moment right now to subscribe if you haven't already. This channel is built for those who seek wisdom, not just in love, but in every aspect of life. And I want to hear from you in the comments. After all we've explored, do you believe silence is cruel? Or do you believe it is the highest form of truth? Share your voice below. Now, let's step into the closing chapter. 1. Acceptance. The end of waiting. By now, she no longer stares at her phone. She no longer wonders if today will be the day your name lights up her screen. She has accepted reality. You are not coming back, and your silence has spoken louder than any message ever could. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now." She has wiped out her judgment of your silence. What once tormented her has now become neutral. Think about this. Acceptance is not forgetting, nor is it pretending. Acceptance is simply seeing reality as it is, without resistance. Pause here and repeat silently. Reality is enough. I will not fight what is. Let this settle in your mind. Acceptance is peace. 2. The lesson she carries. Every silence carries a lesson. For her, the lesson may be this. Never tie your worth to someone else's attention. She begins to value herself more deeply. She realizes that her happiness cannot depend on your words, your validation, or your presence. Epictetus reminded us, "No man is free who is not master of himself." She begins to master herself because she had to. Your silence forced her to face her dependence, and now she emerges stronger. Do you see how this mirrors your own Stoic path? The same way you practice detachment, she too has been forced to practice it. Without knowing, your silence created another philosopher in the making. Someone learning independence through necessity. Ask yourself, are you willing to respect the lesson she gained? Even if she no longer needs you, can you admire her strength? That is the mark of a Stoic man, to honor growth even when it costs you closeness. 3. The shift of respect. Here is where the story takes an unexpected turn. For some women, silence breeds bitterness. But for others, it breeds respect. She may not love you anymore, she may not desire you anymore, but she may respect you. Seneca said, "A man is as unhappy as he has convinced himself he is." She sees now that you did not beg, you did not chase, you did not crumble. Whether she agrees with your silence or not, she cannot deny the discipline it took to maintain it. And discipline often earns respect, even from those who felt hurt by it. Consider this, respect may last longer than attraction. Silence, handled wisely, may leave her with a quiet admiration for you, even if she never speaks it aloud. Meditate on this phrase. It is better to be respected in silence than pitied in noise. Hold it in your mind. This is the essence of Stoic strength. 4. The final letting go. Eventually, she lets go completely. Your memory fades into the background of her life. Not with hatred, not with obsession, just with indifference. And here lies the greatest paradox of silence. What once consumed her thoughts now becomes just another chapter in her story. Marcus Aurelius urged, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." She chooses to live now, no longer tied to yesterday. Her letting go is not about you anymore. It's about her choosing life. Silence ends the bond, but it also frees her energy to embrace new experiences, new people, new joys. Pause. Imagine someone you once longed for, someone whose silence broke you. Where are they now in your thoughts? Likely just a faint memory. This is proof. Letting go is inevitable for both her and you. 5. The Stoic closing truth. So, what does she feel and think daily when you stop texting? When silence has run its full course? At first, confusion, then longing, then battles of ego and identity, then detachment, and finally acceptance and freedom. Your silence was not just absence, it was a teacher. It revealed her fears, it tested her pride, it pushed her toward independence, and eventually it gave her peace. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And so she disregarded you. Not with malice, but with wisdom. Silence, in the end, is not about control. It is about truth. It reveals who depends on whom. It shows who is grounded and who is not. It strips away illusions and leaves only what is real. Take a breath. Embrace silence in your own life, not as a weapon, but as a practice. Use it not to manipulate, but to strengthen. Let it remind you that you control only yourself, and that is enough. And so, we reach the end of our journey. From confusion to acceptance, from longing to freedom, silence has spoken. It has taught her. It has shaped you. And it has revealed a Stoic truth. The strongest bonds are not formed by constant words, but by the strength to stand, even in silence. If this series has given you clarity, take a moment now to subscribe, to comment with your reflections, and to share this with someone who needs to hear it. Tell me below, after everything, do you see silence as a weapon or as wisdom? Stay grounded, stay disciplined, and remember, a Stoic man does not fear being alone. He knows that silence is not emptiness. It is the space where strength is forged.